All right, so what did you come up with? What did you see just in our short walk here that might suggest a place or a site in which democracy was or could be sort of perpetuated or expanded? Yeah.
2 bookstores.
You saw 2 bookstores. Now, unfortunately, a lot of the bookstores here are more concerned with selling T-shirts than they are books. But there are books in there. And as has been suggested, books and sort of the knowledge that they bring are instrumental, right, for understanding how good government and democratic government should be perpetuated. If you don't know that your rights are being violated, then how are you going to protect them? Okay, so you got bookstores. Yeah. There is the library, which you hopefully got a glimpse of as we walked past. There are no shortages of books there, as well as now computers that will give you access to knowledge beyond which you can possibly imagine. What else?
Just to follow up on what you just said, the computer lab right across the road.
A computer lab, right? Nothing the founders envisioned, which shows again that democracy is always a continual process. A computer lab, which increasingly, right, you have to have access to have the knowledge that you need in order to share equally in the democratic experience. What else? The green itself, why?
A place where people can meet and talk.
Okay, a place where you can congregate, which itself is modeled partly after some of these New England towns that I mentioned earlier and that came up as far as places in which people get together, share and discuss ideas, protest if they'd like. I don't know if you saw the plaque on the ground as we walked past that talked about student voices assembling in this area to forward student concerns. Great one. What else?
A coffee shop.
A coffee shop, right? We don't just have taverns anymore. We have coffee shops in which people do these things. If you looked further down or walked further down, you'd see no shortages of bars. I have a feeling that they are less concerned with perpetuating democracy nowadays than they were in the 18th century. But maybe more refined coffee shops are sites in which democratic values are forwarded. I like that idea because you've got caffeine in you, right? And you can think more sharply after a few cups of coffee. Very good. Any others that you saw? Yeah. Don't be bashful. Oh, you were stretching your arm. Okay. Anybody else? Yeah.
We got restaurants down the street too.
Restaurants, potentially, yeah. Similar idea as coffee shop, right? Nothing like a good meal to get people talking. Absolutely.
You can't see it, but in line with the coffee shop, all these places are wired, so
Wireless?
There's information going throughout the air.
Double your dose of democracy. Conversation and access to the internet. What else?
What's the clock tower? Is that the courthouse?
The courthouse, which you hopefully could see as you look down there, a place in which freedoms can be protected, right? And should be protected, absolutely. I don't know if you can see the church spire here, but there's a large Methodist church right down this road, sandwiched between sorority houses, which may or may not be democratic institutions. I'm not certain. I don't know anything about them. Did anybody see the large statue that we walked past? The Civil War Monument. It's a Civil War monument. You absolutely are right. It's a Civil War monument for those in Athens County who fought on behalf of the Union. And I just want to share, it was erected in the 1890s, and I want to share with you what it says. In memory of those who volunteered as soldiers and sailors in defense of Union and to perpetuate free government. The military, whether we like it or not, and my father-in-law is an Army veteran, so I like it, is an institution that has historically helped preserve democracy. Right? Now, we're not sure whether the degree to which it can promote democracy in other countries, right? And that's part of what we're sort of trying to figure out now in Iraq. But the military is also, I think, especially in the context of the U.S., has been at times an institution that is absolutely central. And the protections it provides is absolutely central for democratic values, right? The monument itself is a commemoration, as I've just suggested, of those ideals. Any others that people saw? Yeah.
Talk about the name of the town altogether.
Oh, Athens, great. That's so obvious I didn't even think of it. Athens, hearkening back to the Greek democracy, right? In which democratic values, even though they too had their limits, were in some people's mind first born, right? Great one. Others? Yeah.
Following up with us being at a university, we have a College of Communications right there. Which
Okay. Communications. Absolutely. Absolutely. And let's just wrap it up with this, and then I want to answer any questions you have. I mean, this has come up, and I'm sure it's so obvious now as I stand here that you probably are embarrassed to mention it. This was the ordinance of 1787, which helped to settle the Ohio region. And this is a quote from it. And I'm going to let this fire truck go past before I talk about it. Or I'm not. Religion, morality, and knowledge, just read it, being necessary to good government and the happiness of mankind, schools and the means of education shall forever be encouraged. Here you see a lot of what we've talked about today. An institution that protects the coffee houses and restaurants that democracy is promoted on. I didn't even think of this, right? But here, returning to this, right? I mean, it brings together the degree to which in the early 19th century, the late 18th and early 19th century, institutions like just churches and schools and higher education, which is the reason why we're here, right? When Ohio University was established, the idea was it's necessary to good government and thus must forever be, and happiness, and thus forever must be encouraged, right? You could also add to that just the land that we're on, right? Because democracy and freedom also has an economic component. If you're not able to subsist, can you truly be free? Can you truly participate in democratic government? Right? Now, so I'll leave on this note, right? I mean, you've seen sort of just as we go here, you've seen lots of different places that are sites or potential sites for democracy. Does their mere presence ensure that democracy will be promoted? Absolutely not. Because any one of them could be used to promote something else. Could be used to promote maybe oppression of others. And what that means is, I think it's up for all of us. It's right. I'll leave with a moral message. I'm on my soapbox here. It leaves it up to us to ensure that the ideals and the values that we want perpetuated are those that fill our public spaces, right? And not those which might ultimately thwart the freedoms and liberties that we cherish.